One thing I think is very important is that you and I understand what the fuck is happening. So let's break some shit down in words that you and I can understand. What the hell is fascism? Okay? Let's go. We're going to begin with the definition. Make no mistake. I consulted Merriam-Webster, the Oxford Dictionary for the U.S. military, the Britannica, all kind of shit in terms of direct definitions of what is fascism. The worst case of fascism that we've ever seen is Hitler, is Nazi Germany in World War II. Therefore, I'm using the definition that came from the Holocaust Encyclopedia, which says, fascism prioritizes the nation over the individual who exists to serve the nation. This leads to an intense interest in defining which groups belong or do not belong to the national body. In a fascist state, violence is accepted and even celebrated if it serves to advance the national community. Now, during my research, it was 4 words that kept coming up, so I understand this to be, there's really 4 pillars for some shit to be fascism. Listen, if a government or individual or whatever has like 2 of these aspects, it's a shitty system, but it's not full-blown fash, okay? Our 4 terms are authoritarian or authoritarianism, autocracy, nationalism, militarism. Let's go one by one, Jack. Authoritarianism, obviously root word, babe, authority. Okay, so that's gonna be blind. Oh, wait. Run that shit back, DJ. A common question. How the fuck do we even get to this point? Like, how do we even get to the point that we as a people accept the fascist leader or accept this kind of fuckery of a system? Major point is the nation feeling like a victim, a sense of victimhood. Oftentimes, the reason an extreme ass form of government, a fascist type government, is able to like sink its claws is because the nation just went through some shit. Oftentimes, war. Like more often than not, it's a war. Or it could be something like an epidemic, pandy, I don't know. I do know, bitch, I'm telling you for sure. So, authoritarianism, obviously the root authority. So it's like a blind obedience to your government. It's unquestioned loyalty. And oftentimes, it's also like indefinite tenure, meaning, you know, I'm gonna rule this bitch until I can't rule no more, or somebody that ass overthrows me, or something like a refusal to concede, okay? So unfair elections, shit like that. The second key to fascism is autocracy. Key, auto, meaning one. So sometimes it can be like a monarchy or one family. Hang on, the dog's a pain in my ass right now. I love you, but my God. This bitch always trying to steal focus like I'm not the cult of personality in this house. Like I'm not the autocrat in this bitch. Which is gonna bring us back to autocracy. Like I said, sometimes it's one family. Think the Kims, okay? In present day, it's typically just one person, cult of personality type shit, a dictator. So somebody like Hitler, somebody like Mussolini, who really, that was the first time that fascism was like used and really called something. So it's easy to look in retrospect at different points in history and be like, that's a fascist regime. But the first time it was ever really, a spade was called a spade, was Mussolini. So yeah, cult of personality, big, think like, you know, Papa Fidel, or people being even scared to talk about Saddam, you know, the walls have ears type shit, where people are like, there is a fear instilled in regards to this fucking one person. This one person is like larger than life. Third key, nationalism. So when I was saying in the definition, it says about the individual exists to serve the state. It exists to serve the nation. That's nationalism. So fuck your individual identity. You're not Kate, you're American. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Now make no mistake, oftentimes, most times, this nationalism is exclusionary, meaning who belongs, who doesn't belong. So typically something like religion or race or some little bullshit factor like that is going to decide, okay, so who is the nation, who's the in-group and who's the out-group? Lots of times there's a lot of rhetoric around like the rebirth of a nation or an idealized state. We're going to be like this, we're going to, Okay. So yeah, nationalism, the nation over the people, but like only the nation of the people we want. Therefore, we're going to make sure that it's only the people we want. So we're going to do shit like discriminate like fuck or full-blown ethnic cleanse. Lastly, militarism. Violence is accepted if it advances the collective cause, okay? So if it gets us closer to this goal of an idealized state, then the violence is okay because you did it for the greater good of the people, okay? It has a redemptive quality. Now, severe ass forms of militarism are going to be the government weaponized against its own citizens, a government ruled by the military, or mandatory service. These are very extreme forms. Bro, when I was looking this shit up, and I say, how is fascism any different than straight up Nazism? In my understanding, we're not all the way there yet. Fascism has all four burners going. Nazism puts all those bitches on high ass heat, okay? So something can be fascist without there being full fucking concentration camps, okay? If the militarism is something like mass deportation, but the camps haven't been fucking built, that's still fascism. If it's something like a militarizing of authority, you know what I mean? Like a violent suppression of what you believe is the order, any kind of political objection or opposition squashed violently, that's still fucking fascism, okay? Which is why I say, oh my God, inversion freaks me out. Which is why I say the most severe form of fascism that we have ever seen is Hitler in World War II. Fascism does exist and can exist without it being so severely radical, but make no mistake, the four things that can let you know if shit's getting fascist or if it's basically, if we're already fucking there, is authoritarianism, autocracy, nationalism, militarism. Also, for fascism to work, you're indoctrinating the youth. So, like I said, when they hit you with the, ay, Papa Fidel, in the classroom, they make all the students put their head down and, oh, pray that you get this and this. And then all the students lift their head and they all have candy on their desk. Say thank you to Papa Fidel. Very much indoctrinating the youth. That sense of victimhood, indoctrinating that into the youth. Of, your life would be so much better if it weren't for X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z are always out to get you. Life is so hard to be you. That sense of victimhood starts as a youth. So indoctrinating that shit into the youth through propaganda. So propaganda, 911-ish, indoctrinating the youth, 911-ish, and just an overall sense of victimhood. Do what you will with that information. May God continue to bless you. Let me just re-emphasize this one more time before you go. In order for fascism to work, for these extreme forms of government to work, it's often because there's an overall feeling of like, well, the middle ground didn't get us anywhere. You know what I mean? That's where that sense of victimhood comes into play, where people are like, well, shit, just, this little gray area didn't help us, so let's get radical one way or the other.